After deciding to sell their zoo in India and move to Canada due to political turmoil, the Patels board a freighter with a few remaining animals. Tragedy strikes when a terrible storm sinks the ship, leaving the Patels' teenage son, Pi, as the only human survivor. However, Pi is not alone. A fearsome Bengal tiger has also found refuge aboard the lifeboat. As days turn into weeks and weeks drag into months, Pi and the tiger must learn to trust each other if both are to survive. This horrifying story proves the fact that coexistence is the only kind of existence. There are two potential beliefs to life of Pi. One being that the animals were symbolic of the same story, but with humans in their place. The other being that the animal story is what actually occurred. I can tell you now that based on evidence throughout the book, Life of Pi was definitely not told as a metaphor for humans. Animals were authentic figures. This interpretation is yielded through spirituality, which makes sense because one of the major themes of the novel is spirituality. A common and very intelligent argument is that the humans are displayed as animals to weaken the gruesome thoughts Pi was experiencing after the 227 tragic days at sea. The problem is that in the end of the novel, when Pi is telling the human story, it says that Pi is Richard Parker. If Pi was sought out to be Richard Parker, then who is Pi? This leads us back to the common theme of the book. Coexistence is the only existence. Pi couldn't have lived out there alone because the incentive for catching food would have been weakened tremendously. Also, why would Pi need a raft off of the lifeboat if Pi was by himself?
Now here's why the opposing argument is not only wrong, but why my theory is right. When Pi finishes his story to the reporters about the animals, they were not satisfied. This is proven when one of the reporters says, quote unquote, "That's a bit hard to believe, isn't it? There are no tigers in the Americas. If there were a wild tiger out there, don't you think the police would have heard about it by now?" What does Pi do after this? Well, he hesitates. He asks for a couple of minutes of silence. My guess is to think up a quick story to satisfy the reporters because it was a strong implication that he did not enjoy their presence. You think that's the only evidence I have? No, I have more. Quote unquote, "You should have seen Richard Parker. Huge, teeth like this, claws like scimitars." This contradicts the theory that the animals are metaphors for people because Pi wouldn't describe himself like that. The only way he would have used that detailed of a description is if he actually experienced a tragic situation with a real live tiger. Unless he was a talented liar, of course. However, this wouldn't make much sense because what would give him the incentive to do so? Here's my evidence number 3. Finally, Pi says, quote unquote, "Don't we say there's no place like home? That's certainly what animals feel. Animals are territorial." Though it may seem far-fetched, this symbolizes Pi's ability to believe in multiple religions simultaneously. Animals are territorial. This means that personal space cannot be intertwined. As for religion, each set of beliefs cannot be intertwined among others. However, they can exist with one another, such as goats living with the orangutans in the zoo, because only the beliefs are territorial rather than the whole religion. Notice how everything is being linked back to animals. I can assure you that Jan Martel did this with a purpose explaining that Pi Patel and animals are always connected. I believe that despite the abstract thinking that goes along with the human story, it is more logical. But who said logical was correct? This is important because we need to learn how to take a leap of faith, which is one of the major themes within the book. This skill is a vital component for dominance in our society. Take a chance, a risk, And most importantly, stick with it. Fight for it. I can tell you now that if you're willing to take a leap of faith, the most passionate path is the one in which the animals left. Anything is possible. Please don't live in denial. Thank you.